much for signing up for today's program. So today we're talking about plant-based whole food diet with Susan Francis today. A reminder that at the end of the lecture there is going to be a food demo with samples. There'll be plenty of time for question and answer at the end. So remember that I do try to come around with a microphone so everyone can be heard at the end, so you can ask your questions into the microphone. If you didn't have a chance to stop at either of the tables when you first came in, we've got plenty of literature on like plant-based diet. We also are doing a book drawing at the end of today's program. So that's at the very end. I've given each of you a ticket. And so if your ticket matches the number that I call out at the end of today's program, you're going to win a Blue Zone book. So without further ado, welcome Susan Francis to Deerfield today.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you so much. I'm going to look over here and just turn my camera on too, so we have a couple of things going. Sorry about that. Maybe it won't play. Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm excited to share what I've learned on my plant-based journey with all of you. I definitely didn't start out this way in my life. And even though, you know, I knew about eating vegetables and fruits, I thought that was always a good thing to do. We didn't always eat everything totally healthy. If you are like me, you probably had some processed foods in your life, and you probably had some meats and vegetables, as well as a lot of ice cream and cake and candy. So, yeah, right. So we can actually still do that on a plant-based diet, and I want to share a little bit about how I got here for you, so that you just know where I came from. I actually have a degree in restaurant management. I also have a degree in plant-based nutrition. So these are two things that have always been really interesting to me, but I've also spent a lot of my life as a wildlife artist, and loved animals and always loved to paint them and draw them. And as the wildlife artist, part of me, I also wanted to help people understand how important the environment was and how critical it was to have support for the wildlife in the environment. And that's become even more apparent, obviously, now. So this is another reason to really look and see how we can do the things that we need to do to help keep the environment in balance and keep ourselves and all of the animals healthy. This is an opportunity for me to say, did you have your mom say, eat your veggies?
Vegetables.
Right, eat your vegetables. So, did you?
Yes.
All right, good, even better. And usually I did too. But sometimes they weren't always available, because where I lived, we didn't always have things that were fresh. They were often canned or occasionally frozen. So it wasn't always the most healthiest version, but we did what we could. And of course now we have a wonderful opportunity to get a lot of really great fresh food and frozen foods. We're in a super place where we can get those things, and we have so many options here. We have so many farmers markets. It's great, so we can actually get a lot of really super healthy food. But obviously some people don't have that. So here's a way that we can take a look at how we can use more plants and fruits and vegetables in our diet. So here, this is new for me. Okay, so what's in fruits and vegetables that's not really in anything else? Any ideas? All right, I'll help you. Fiber. It's the fiber that's in the fruits and vegetables that really is the important thing. So if we only eat things that are really processed, and we only eat animal products, then we are not getting the fiber that we need. The fiber comes from the whole foods, from the fruits and vegetables, and the more we have of that, the better. The recommendation is about 30 grams per day as a minimum. 30 grams doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it actually, and it isn't. It's really something that we can all do very easily. If we don't get enough fiber, we can actually end up with some of our chronic diseases, high blood pressure, stroke, heart attack, diabetes, and all of those things that a lot of us are having to deal with. Fiber that's in there, in the fruits and vegetables, helps us control all of those things. And one of the ways that it does that is it works with our gut biome. You've been hearing a lot about probably the gut biome that we have, and those are the helpful little bacteria that help us digest our food. If we eat plants, then we have some that will really help us with that fiber, and it helps us break it down. So there are things that happen in the first part of your digestion, in the mouth, in the esophagus, and in the stomach. So we have two types of fiber. We have a soluble fiber and an insoluble fiber. With the soluble fiber, it starts to break down fairly early in our digestion. And then, as it goes on down through the stomach, it goes down into the intestines. The insoluble fiber is what goes down into the intestines, and it actually helps us really develop a good digestion, and the little bacteria that are down there help break that down for us. One of the reasons we have, as humans, a very long digestive system is it takes time for that. It takes time for that process to happen. So it may take, from several hours to just almost to the next day, depending on how active you might be. And it's also very important because it helps keep us very comfortable, to put it mildly. So as it says less than 3% of Americans get even that minimum 3 grams. What does that look like? You could get 7 grams a day and reduce the risk of stroke by 7% with just 1 bowl of oatmeal with berries or 1/2 cup of baked beans. That's a really amazing thing. So you don't really need to eat a whole lot. You just need to make sure you add some beautiful beans, berries, grains, and fruits into your diet. Broccoli, one of my faves, has about 5 grams of fiber in a cup of steamed cup of serving, and it has 2.8 grams of protein and only 55 calories. So you can eat lots of broccoli. Lots of other vegetables are in that category as well. So it's really easy to get the fiber that we need by eating lots of plants. What about protein? Everybody always wants to know. Plants make all the protein, all of it. They do it using photosynthesis. They use it with sunlight, water, and the minerals from the soil. So all of the protein that you need, you can get it from plants. The recommendation is about 0.4 grams per pound of your body weight. So an example, if you weigh 126 and you're female, you need about 52 grams per day. And if you're a male and you weigh around 154, you need about 63 grams per day. So we can get that really easily. Think about a bowl of cereal with the berries, some fruit, add some broccoli, some baked beans, some whole grains, and you're there. Here's some plant protein sources for you. So if you have a cup of tofu, it's 20 grams. That is almost completely all you need. But you want to have some other things too. And if you have cooked black beans, you have 15 grams. That's just 1 cup. It's about like a bowl of soup. Veggie burgers, 11 grams. Even potatoes, 8 grams per potato. So a baked potato is really great. It has fiber, it has vitamins, and it has protein. Quinoa, 8 grams. A cup of oatmeal by itself has the 6 grams. A cup of cooked bulgur, 6 grams. Most whole grains have protein. The reason for that is they're actually the seed. They're the seed of the plant that's going to make a new plant. So it has to have the protein to be able to grow a new plant. Here's an example at the bottom. One hot dog has between 5 and 10 grams of protein. And not really a whole lot of good stuff. A lot of extra fat, a lot of extra salt, which is things that we probably don't want to put in our diet. So research has shown that just adding 1 serving a day of vegetables equals almost 11 years of slower mental decline. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? I was really surprised when I saw that. Dr. Neil Barnard is a wonderful doctor. He's a founder of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. That's over 17,000 doctors in the United States who are recommending that people use a plant-based diet for health and for wellness and to get the things that they need. So if you have just 1 serving of vegetables a day that you add to your already existing diet, just think what you could do with 2 or more. Plant-powered diets that are low in saturated fats and oils can reduce blood pressure, lower the risk of heart disease, improve cholesterol levels and blood sugar levels, support the immune system, and support overall mental and physical health. This is information that also came from the Physicians Committee through the research and through a study that was done with over 400,000 people that was done by AARP and the Physicians Committee. And they found that this is the best way for people to eat. And it's the best way for people to eat no matter what age you are and no matter where you are in your life. So it's good for young people, for children, and for older people. So it's good for us throughout our whole life. So what's color have to do with nutrition? You know, our eyes are automatically drawn to things that are colorful, right? So one of the reasons is that our brains actually are hardwired for color. When you see things like bright red berries and blueberries and greens, you get a response. And you'll actually have something happening in your body that draws you to that. It's part of how we evolved to get the fruits and vegetables that are healthy and ripe, just by how we saw them. And because the healthiest ones, the best ones for us, have the most color, then they are bright and we see them. So our brain wants us to go and eat those. And in addition to that, they have the most antioxidants, they have the most nutrients, and so the fresh ones are going to be the best we can get. So we have a lot of information for you here today. And we have a lot of options for you to take a look at. Some magazines, some brochures, and so forth. And one of the things that I'm suggesting is start with just making some small changes. If you're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables right now, just add a few. Start with 1 meal and add something more. Then go to the next meal, add something more. Each time you can make a change, leave off the plate something that's not quite so healthy. And that way, you get to make the gradual changes. And it will definitely help you. Also, if you haven't been used to eating a lot of fiber, it's good to kind of start slowly, because that way your body has a chance to adjust. Those little microbiome buddies in our guts will grow if we feed them what they need. So I have for you, in the handouts back there, a how to build a plant-based diet meal in 5 minutes or less. Basically, what that is you take some things that are in your pantry, or they are things that you can either make ahead or buy it and have on hand, and then you can just put something together really quickly. And we also have copies of the My Vegan Plate for you. So on that, you also have some suggestions, some nutrition information, and a lot of helpful tips. Anybody have a question at the moment that you need me to address? Yes, ma'am.
How does overcooking vegetables affect its nutritional value if it's overcooked and soggy and
Okay, so the question is, what does overcooking do to vegetables? Well, obviously, if it's overcooked, it's going to not be quite as nutritious as if it's not cooked overly. It's going to break down. But here's the thing, even if it's overcooked, it's still going to be better than not eating it. So if you would have, even, like now people are saying, well, what about smoothies? Actually, Dr. Greger, one of my plant-based heroes, has said that sometimes even just doing it as a smoothie can actually help people digest better. So if people have digestion problems, something's not really easily digestible for them, then maybe just cooking it a little bit longer is not a bad thing. Somebody else had a question? Nope? Yes? Yes.
If you microwave for a few minutes, is that not a good thing to do?
There's some,
Is that just-
sorry, I'm closer than this. There is some debate about that. Personally, I don't care for microwaves. I'd rather just steam it for a minute, because I think it's actually better. It doesn't break it down quite as quickly. Just my personal opinion. Yes, ma'am.
What about sugar added to everything, including vegetables, soup, whatever?
Yeah, that's really not a good thing. She's asking, what about adding sugar to everything? Definitely, I don't recommend that. And anytime you're eating something that's processed like sugar, it's not going to be helpful for your body. It's going to create some imbalances. You want to keep your body as alkaline as possible. So by eating fruits and vegetables, it tends to be more alkalized, whereas eating dairy products or meat, it will be more acidic. And it's been proven that in studies, they've looked at different people. They actually take the blood of someone who eats predominantly plants, and also some from someone who eats meat or something. And they take some blood and they actually drip it on a petri dish that has some cancer cells in it. And they have found that the cancer cells die when the person who eats the plant-based way they use that blood, but when they put the blood of someone who eats more animals and dairy-based, they tend to proliferate. There's a lot of science behind that. One of my mentors, and one of the reasons that I kind of got into this in the first place, is Dr. T. Colin Campbell. Some of you may have heard of the China study. It was done a long time ago, in the 70s actually. And they did some really interesting tests on exactly that kind of thing. And what they found was that the protein in dairy was the activator for the cancer cells. If you really want to get into that, there's a great video. It's called Forks Over Knives. And Forks Over Knives is a documentary, and it talks about Dr. Campbell's work and what they found. It was very instrumental in my deciding to go into plant-based nutrition. It's an easy one to watch, and even though it's an older one, it still has all the applicable information for you. And Dr. Campbell's, oh yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, talking about sugar, do you suggest a good alternative for cane sugar is monk sugar?
Yeah, somebody's asking about alternatives for sugar. Yeah, monk fruit is fine. It's good because it is lower glycemic. Date sugar, if you can find date sugar, it's great. Because date sugar is really a whole food. It's just the dried dates that are ground up. And I use it sometimes in what I make. Some other lower glycemic options would be agave. That's not a bad choice. But even just using fruit as a sweetener. For instance, if you're making muffins or something, you can use applesauce, you can use banana, and you can actually use those in place of the oils. And I've done that as well. Anybody else? All right. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little demo for you. And I'm going to show you how I make a plant-based cheese sauce. Doesn't taste exactly like dairy, but it's a really good option. And I brought my my blender and some things that I've pre-cooked, just so that it would make it easy for me to show you. Oh, I have one more thing I want to show you. So another thing that we want to make sure that we do before I do that is make sure to keep moving. You know, I totally recommend that even just a little bit of moving, even just walking, is one of the best ways to stay healthy in your life. We have a lot of options, especially here. We have such great weather. And even inside, you can walk around and just keep moving. I also teach a Tai Chi class, which is part of my movement practice. And I totally love to dance and love to recommend that people just do whatever activity feels comfortable for you. All right. So let me do this little demonstration for you. It might be a little noisy when I run the mixer, but I'll try to keep it down for you. Okay. So I pre-cooked some things. And if you have a high-powered blender, it's always great. But if you don't, you can still use a regular blender. So in this recipe, it should be available for you as one of your handouts. This is the vegan cheese sauce. So what I did this morning, I pre-cooked some potatoes and some carrots. And just boiled them together. No added salt. I'm going to have to set this down. And I also have samples over here for you all to try. Sorry. So that's just carrots and potatoes, nothing else. And then I save a little bit of the water.
You just boiled the carrots and potatoes?
Yes, just boiled. Just boiled until they get tender.
And that's the water from the carrots.
And that was the water from cooking. You reserve a half a cup. This is a little bit of plant milk. I like to use organic soy milk. You could use any milk that you like. You could use almond, oat, whatever you like. But you probably want to get one that's not sweet. So I just pre-measured everything so it'll make it easy for you. Now we have We have nutritional yeast. That's going to give it the cheesy flavor. So nutritional yeast is a deactivated yeast. It is actually usually grown on something like a sugar cane or something like that. Then they put it through a process where they wash it, dry it, and pasteurize it. And so it's no longer active. It doesn't have anything in it that would activate any problem in the intestines. So you can get a lot of different kinds. You can get one that has B12 already added, and you can use it for that as an additional supplement. This one does not. This particular brand does not. It's actually called Nutrilicious. Nutrilicious. Okay, next I'm going to add a little bit of white miso. White miso. And I added all those seasonings together just to make it easy for demonstration. It's smoked paprika, garlic powder and onion powder, and no salt because the miso gives it a salty flavor. I'm just going to put all this in together. And then, this is an option, you don't have to, and if you don't like a smoky taste, you could use regular paprika, it's for the flavor and the color. Or you could use a little bit of tomato paste, which is also good. And then, just as a little extra, I'm going to add just a very small amount of a plant-based butter. This one happens to be Miyoko's. It's a coconut-based, coconut milk-based, and she doesn't have a very, very good product for that type of thing. But it's just a small amount, so it's only about a tablespoon in 4 cups. And it's completely optional. You don't have to put that. All right, now I'm going to turn this on. Oops, sorry. So you see we have a nice, thick, cheesy sauce. You can use it for anything that you want to put it on, and your vegetables. You can put it on a baked potato, and you can make it a little thinner if you want to. You can add a little bit other spices if you like. You can add some salsa if you want to make a nice queso dip. And you can come up and take a look at this, and then I have the samples for you all to try. But before we do that, you always have to have dessert, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to show you how I make my raw brownie bites. And they are something I make in the processor. Okay. So you see how quick that was. I mean, really, it doesn't take any time at all. And this makes about 4 cups, and it'll keep at least a week in the refrigerator. You could even freeze it if you wanted to. I don't think it ever lasted that long, but, but yeah, and you can use it in a soup. You can use it any way you like. So I'm going to leave that one so you can see it in there, and then you can take one of these to sample it as well. So now, the no-bake brownie bites. Now this is one of my favorites. And I have a little nephew who's allergic to nuts, and peanuts especially. So I try to come up with things that he can eat, that everybody else can eat too. And this is one of the things that works really well. The basis for this is dates. Dates are the nature's candy. They're absolutely wonderful. I've already pre-cut them. I like to get the already pitted ones just to save some time. But I've already kind of cut them up into little pieces so that it makes it quick and easy. So the first thing is the dates. Pumpkin seeds. Rolled